So it's
Gotcha.
not based on days or numbers, because when you haven't done something before, you can't accurately estimate how much time, how much effort it would do. Let's say,
Gotcha.
your task is to eat 10 pizzas, right? You probably haven't ate 10 pizzas in a row before, so you don't know how long
Hey,
that
you
takes.
don't know me. You don't know me. I got, I'm just kidding. No, I haven't ate
Right.
10 pizzas before.
Right? So let's say that was your project task. Now we can safely say it'll take you probably twice as long to eat 20 pizzas than 10 pizzas. So we would give the first task 1 story point and then the second one 2 story point. So it's a relative measurement that compares one task to another, and t-shirt sizing is a way to kind of get the team used to using story points, basically.
Hi, folks. A quick one before we dive into this week's episode. Our book, The Critical Path Career, How to Advance in Construction Planning and Scheduling, is out now, and you can order it on Amazon. We'll include a link below. This is a great way to show support for the Beyond Deadlines podcast, and Greg and I have worked extremely hard taking everything we know in our 30 years of experience, plus everything we've picked up from shooting this podcast, and we've tried to pack it into an information-dense book that you can use right away. In the book, we have specific strategies on how to get a raise, how to get a promotion, and find a new job. We include 26 of the best interview questions that we have come across, in addition to 34 specific impact ideas that you can go use on your projects today. We want to thank everyone who's shown us support so far and enjoy this week's episode. Welcome to the Beyond Deadlines podcast, where we tackle challenges that planning and schedule leaders come across on a day-to-day basis. My name is Micah Piippo, and I'm a planning and scheduling manager for Intel.
Hey, and my name is Helena, and I'm the founder of Product Camps and Exams PM. I've been teaching project management and helping people pass the PMP certification for the past 10 years. And I also have courses and a YouTube channel on AI and automations.
And they are brilliant. For everyone listening, we're going to put links in the show notes. You should definitely check them out. Some of the best content I've seen on this in a while. Beyond Deadlines, You know the drill. We give you tactics and strategies that you can implement on a day-to-day basis. Today, we are going to dive right into automations.
Mm-hmm.
So on today's challenge, we have a general contractor who has brought you in to provide automations for their company. They are totally green to this. They haven't done anything to it, but the VP flew you in and said, I have seen your YouTube videos. I have to have you help us fix our company. Where do you start?
Well, what kind of company is it? General contractor could be anything.
Yeah, so let's say it's a top 50 general contractor. They're doing, I don't know, like $1 billion a year in construction. Different sorts of projects.
So is it the VP of construction, VP of, is it for the actual building, or is it for sales and marketing of the company? Because
let's say this is the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer.
Okay, so the CTO comes in and wants to start automating things. So then I would look at, okay, so what are you currently doing? What are the main processes that is currently involved?
Let's say we have like a general project management capture system like Procore, which, that's where you can throw all your files in and different things like that. And then basically everything else is just in spreadsheets.
And what are these spreadsheets on?
Let's say this is where we track. Yeah, let's say this is where we track our schedules and our costs and everything else. It's basically like we have a couple, let's call it OneDrives, and they're just dumping spreadsheets everywhere.
Got it. So when we look at these spreadsheets, I'm guessing there'd be schedule, cost, risk, like what are anything else in these spreadsheets?
Probably like a procurement log. Yeah, let's start there. Yeah.
Okay. And then in the project management software, I'm guessing you're tracking the same information. Like generally those kind of 4 categories, that would be the top ones to tackle right now. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll kind of like look at what are the top categories to tackle because 80/20 rule, since we don't have any automations, we'll look at what are the existing processes. So let's say for schedule, how is that currently created and updated, and who's updating them? How is that
Yeah, so let's say
structured?
there's project managers, and they just go and they're given a scope, and
Mhm.
they build out their own Excel schedule, and then they are taking that and just kind of, when asked to, updating their schedule. So when someone above them
Yeah,
is like, "Hey, Bill, I need the schedule updated," they go
the
update the
schedule.
schedule.
Yeah, project schedules also come in different forms. Is it a Trello, or is it Kanban style, or is it Gantt
No, this
chart
is
style?
construction, so this will be like Gantt style, critical path,
Again,
that style.
again.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so well, first of all, what I would look at, so now that I kind of get a sense, so like when I look at where automations can fit in, the first thing, as you can see them doing, is I'm first kind of understanding what the business is about, what are the current processes, what are the steps to getting those processes. Like we don't have time to dive into like deep into how each of those processes are constructed, but that's what I would do as a first step, and then see where automation can come in, where the bottlenecks are, where are the times wasted that automations can come in. For something like generating a schedule and timesheets, like I would look into creating a custom GPT for something like that. To one is for SOP. If the SOP was one of the issues that they have, like they don't have procedures for that. And another would be to even to upload those spreadsheets into ChatGPT and have ChatGPT to analyze those spreadsheets and tell you what the key findings are. Microsoft is coming out with Copilot, which actually includes features for analyzing Excel spreadsheets built right into their tool as well. So look at that. For where automation really comes in is when there's different software systems involved, and you can use an API to start automating those tasks. So another area you can explore is what are the current tools that they're using in their tool stack, and are there manual things that they're currently doing? Does
Yeah,
that make
I
sense?
loved how you broke that. Yeah, I love how you broke that down, and really just starting from like, what are the actual processes? Like, what do we need
Mhm.
to find? And then applying that 80/20 rule. Because a lot of
Mhm.
times, from what I see on my angle, people just dive right into like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, the schedule's an issue, go fix it. And you slap automation on something that potentially that's actually
Yeah,
automation is
could.
not the thing that's going to solve it, right? Or be the problem. So
Right.
let me throw a hypothetical out there. So let's say you kind of did that overarching analysis, you brought it back to the CTO, and you're like, hey, I think we have some opportunities here in just the scheduling realm. And he's like, great. Let's focus on just standardizing the actual kind of schedule format and then building a pipeline, let's say back in a Procore or whatever. We don't have to get technical. I'm thinking more of just on just the process side of this. Like, how would you kind
Mhm.
of think about walking through that and executing that?
Well, I would actually look at a couple other things too, like how people are currently finding information. That's also a big one for corporations, that they just have so much information that no one knows where things are. So creating some sort of intelligent AI chatbot for all of their information that can pull all the information from their corporation would also be something of value, so that all of their employees can find what they want. And back to your question, how do you present this? Well, it's um, I would I would probably do it in an agile style. Like we can have a backlog of all the opportunities and then t-shirt size them. Small, medium, uh, extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, right? And then start just
When you
doing.
say t-shirt size, are you looking at those based on effort, how hard they are? That was the first time I've heard the analogy of t-shirt size.
Okay, so in project management, you would use story points, but because you said this company is really green, they probably never heard of story points before. So
No, they
t-shirt size,
haven't.
so t-shirt size is a way to introduce story points to a company. So it's
Gotcha.
not based on days or numbers, because when you haven't done something before, you can't accurately estimate how much time, how much effort it would do. So it's a relative measurement that compares one task to another task within the same organization. Let's say,
Gotcha.
your task is to eat 10 pizzas, right? Probably haven't ate 10 pizzas in a row before, so you don't know how long that would
You
take.
don't know me. You don't know me. I got, I'm just kidding. No, I haven't ate
Um,
10 pizzas before.
right? So let's say that was your project task. Now we can safely say it'll take you probably twice as long to eat 20 pizzas than 10 pizzas. So we would give the first task one story point and then the second one two story points. So that's kind of,
Gotcha.
yeah. So it's a relative measurement that compares one task to another, and t-shirt sizing is a way to kind of get the team used to using story points, basically.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
I sorry, and I took us way off the beaten path
Yeah,
there.
yeah, no worries.
Bringing it back though. I think we were diving right into the automation challenge on the scheduling
Yeah.
side. If you want to continue on that.
Yeah, I would look at what the I would even take a look at what the current tasks are in the scheduling, and see what tools are currently being used, especially for the junior roles, because a lot of those things are probably like AI is basically like a junior employee right now. It's sophistication,
Yeah.
right? So start looking at, well, where can I automate there, to start reducing the cost down. A big one is like the secretaries, like AI voice calling is almost indistinguishable to humans now. It's quite impressive.
Oh,
So
it's
if
so
there's like,
good. It's so good.
yeah, yeah, so if they have a secretary, like that would be something that I'm looking into cutting. In terms of the actual scheduling, like you still need a project manager at the moment to still go in and change different like Gantt charts and stuff like that. But if it's Kanban, you can actually put in automations in tools like Zapier and Make. When certain things are happened, then the card can actually move itself to different
Right.
columns. But for something like Gantt charts, like in your example, you still need the project manager right now to go in. But what I would look at is what's in the schedule, right? And that you can automate. Right?
Yeah. Do you see, because you brought up ChatGPT before, and I
Mhm.
think construction industry is always slow to move on technology. We've been
Right.
pumping it for weeks and weeks and weeks now, showing examples. But in this case, my thought process, and just walk me through if I'm crazy or not, you
Mhm.
have a schedule creation thing where they don't have it, like let's say they don't have a schedule template that they start with, but they want to start with one. I'm thinking
Mhm.
you could set up a workflow where, they type to the little AI chatbot, say, hey, I'm going to create a project schedule. It would pull the template for them, and then they could also do like a submission back to it. And maybe you can build in some parameters to help them just check that they have the right stuff in it. Because I don't know if you've ever experienced this
Yeah.
when you give someone a template and then
Yeah.
they just wreck it.
So
uh,
that you're getting into a custom AI agent, and that is totally
yeah.
possible, and you can do that too. Um, I worked with some much smaller individual construction contractors before, and they had to submit a lot of safety reports, like to the government.
Yeah.
Like there's so much reports, and they're very, very repetitive. That's another thing that you can actually just completely automate. Like make one standard template and then just put in the key facts about what you want to write about, and then with AI to reward some things,
Yeah.
slap some images from the site, or the floor plan, and then it can actually just send it right over to the appropriate government agency right away, which can save tens of tens
Yeah.
of
I mean,
hundreds of hours
when I was
time.
working for Google, we had like an RFI process where like a GC would send basically like a question back to us to say, we have a question about on the design, and then we would send it back. And this was all saved over PDFs. And I
Yeah.
looked at that entire process and I just went to every single PDF and I added up all of the pages, and then I looked
Mhm.
at how long the Golden Gate Bridge was and how wide it was. And just for one project, we could bury the Golden Gate Bridge in like 6 sheets of letterhead paper for how much paper was being sent back and forth. And there's
Yeah.
like, it's just all repetitive stuff, And so that's where
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity,
Yeah.
from that angle to really start kind of removing a lot of just for at start, just you don't have to do it. And I think eventually those processes might fall away in the future, instead of
Yeah.
having to like
Yeah.
submit a piece of paper, you're just submitting it to a chatbot or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't
Another
know.
thing for the RFP processes, you can actually train chatbots on all of your best performing um, opportunities that your companies won, and you can actually create a custom AI agent that just writes all of these proposals, RFPs for you and responds for you, right? So it's different from just using ChatGPT because ChatGPT is one, not trained on your data, and it has a
Yeah,
character limit. But if you start using AI agent, you can get 100 pages generated all at once. You know, you can do that
that's
with AI
wild.
now.
So
Yeah.
let's say like you finished this project, you had some small wins, you brought it back to the CTO, and they're like, "This is awesome," and they're just like, "We just want to push the gas on this." Just like what other stuff would you tackle? They're like, "We'll give you an empty
Mhm.
checkbook, or a full checking account with a check you can write any amount you want," if that makes sense. But like, where do you think you target next to go find solutions and deliver value?
I would look at sales and marketing. And there's a lot of things you can do there. So AI is good at quality and less good at quantity. But let's say, AI can start pumping out 3 posts on all your social medias every single week. And all of that combined is probably going to get you the same engagement as 1 or 2 posts from the human. So I'm not saying to get rid of the human. Well, it depends on your strategy and how far you want to push it. But I'm using it definitely
Yeah,
as a supplement. Like if you're doing nothing on social, like at least use AI to have something on there on all your social medias. So I would have like an agent for all the social media, and then I would look at kind of like start looking at their pipeline and how they're funneling. Like, is it a book a call to close, or like is it a webinar to close? Like, kind of look at their funnels. Let's say it's a book and call to close. You can have an AI appointment setter that can call your leads and book them into a call if they haven't done so, answer their questions that they may have, or also chatbots are great for that. And then on kind of like the bottom of the funnel, I would look at personalization because in construction, like each deal is bigger, so people are expecting more personalization. So instead of sending like one email blast, you can scrape that specific lead's website or LinkedIn profile and customize that all the email automation.
ooh, yeah,
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 that's
email
brilliant.
automation
Yeah,
that you can do for them. So I would start looking at like what does their current funnel look like? Like how are they currently converting those sales? And then adding in AI because AI is really great at personalization. So look at that. I'll look at pumping out more content, and lastly, I'll look at having a chatbot or voice bot to complement the process. And so I'll look at. But what's even more important though is the people, because while the technology is here, what I have been noticing is that there's a lot of resistance to adopt this technology. That doesn't exist for
big
you
time.
and I, but that
Yeah,
is a huge problem. So not, I would say, because we're dealing with such a large company, when it's 5 people or something, it's much easier. But we're dealing with a
yeah,
billion-dollar company here. Even though you have the best idea and it'll make a difference, doesn't mean you'll get pushed through because of that fear. There'll be people trying to sabotage these efforts because they're afraid of AI and afraid of what it
yeah.
can do.
And
So
especially in the construction industry as well, too, you're going to get heavy resistance. And so I think you're about to just tell us, but kind of how would you, work that situation to like help people adopt this sort of technology and start using it?
yeah, that's I mean, there's no one size fits all, and this is where your emotional intelligence comes in. And I just want to say, like, there are things that AI do a lot better than humans, and there are things that AI can't do. So to get the maximum productivity out of your team is by utilizing human intelligence plus artificial intelligence. It's not all about just let's replace everyone on our team, but it's about like, having really smart people there that can work with the AI. And that's the first thing. So it's having people have that mindset that AI is a tool. It's not here to replace you, it's here to help you. So it's giving people that kind of education and navigating these changes in small steps. So let's first start using ChatGPT to start writing some of our content, and then just like building it slowly until people get used to it. But of course, any kind of change requires it's hard, and it presents challenges for the leadership team.
Yeah, I remember working back on sites back in the day, and there were people that were like, "I'm not leaving Windows XP. You can pry it out of my cold, dead hands." And I'm like, "It's just updating Windows, gang. Like, what are we doing here?" And so the construction industry can be very so. Sales and marketing is interesting. One thing that kind of I was thinking of as you're speaking about the sales funnel is when you're on a very large scale construction project, like multi-billion-dollar project, you have to get like 30, 40, 50 people updates into the schedule. And talking about through the sales funnel, I'm like, that almost sounds like a schedule progress update, because as you start out at the top, it's like, hey, everybody at this date needs to fill out their schedule, right? And then as you go down, and it's like now you're getting actually a person to fill out the schedule and give it to you, like that's more personalization, and you're bringing up AI agents and bookings. And so for the people listening out there, I do think even if these solutions aren't directly in your vertical, I think there's a lot of stuff you can pick up from like implementing this stuff in the same way. And so that's just like in my brain. I wasn't fully dialed in on sales and marketing, but the progressing piece I think could work well as too.
Well, like for example, on Slack, you can already program in a AI Scrum Master that goes to all your team and asks them, "What did you do yesterday? What are you going to do today? And are there any
Oh
roadblocks?"
man.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
and
can
that
do
way
it.
you can get annoyed at AI, and not Helena coming around every day being like, "Hey, what'd you do?" You're like, "I ate that robot," but Helena's still a great person.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can definitely just set up an automation and have all have it go out to everyone on the team, and they have to fill out all of the stuff that you're trying to collect, get all the data back, and then the AI will uh, automatically create the report and the analysis based on the information given. So you can definitely do that with
Yeah.
AI and create the
There's so
weekly
much,
report.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
There's
all
so
about
much
like.
in construction that is like in that space. Like what you just described, I think safety deals with it, quality deals with it, scheduling deals with it, cost deals with it. There's just so much there that's ripe for the picking. I mean, I think it's
Yeah,
really going to be big.
yeah. And I worked with an OSHA certification company before, and helped them build a OSHA safety plan. So all the respondent had to do was put in their website and some information about the company, and then it spits out this OSHA safety plan for them right away. And this was something that they had to pay thousands of dollars for, with a OSHA safety expert. Right now AI can just write about this information because it's already learned all the OSHA guidelines. Just
Ah,
incredible.
that's brilliant. So, anything that you're seeing on the horizon that you're excited for in terms of automation and where this technology is headed? I mean, I know you. I mean, it seems like you're on the bleeding edge of a lot of this stuff. So, anything that the audience can like look forward to coming up that you're seeing?
I think voice is going to keep getting better. Even like a year ago, we were seeing a lot of latency in voice, but that latency, as of now, it's almost completely gone. I think, but I don't think it's even at like, I think we might be at like 1% of the adoption of what's going to be. So I think we're going to see a huge amount of AI calls coming out. And I think we're going to, how like 20 years ago, you get an email and it says, "Hey, Micah, that was like, whoa, you know my name," and like just having those variables filled in, that was like a wow factor for people. But now it's just
Yeah.
standard. Everyone knows how to drag in a variable. But I think the next variation of these automation personalization is actually personalizing all of the text, not just a couple of variables, not just like pulling your name, pulling your company name, or whatever
Yeah.
variable, but actually having the entire text be customized to you based on all the conversations you've had with that specific company. So everything they know about you will be used to write specific messages just for you. I think that's what's going to happen. Well,
Those are
it's
two
already
great
happening.
ones.
Yeah, it's already
Oh, yeah.
happening. The tech is already there. It's just not as many people know how to implement it yet. So that's why I say those two, because it's already happening. The tech is there. It just hasn't been mass adopted yet.
Yeah, folks, if you listened to my replay episode a couple weeks ago, it's the baseline replay episode. The intro was shot using an AI voiceover, and it sounds phenomenal. Like, it's just the punctuation. I remember back in the day, it was like everything's very robotic. It was like, hello, good day to you. And now it just sounds like a real person. I think
Yeah.
application wise for those, to me, when you start looking at standard operating procedures,
Mhm.
and different documents that people want to consume quickly. Like, no one wants to read a 35-page document anymore, right? But I think you could potentially use that AI voiceover to record the document, so you don't have to sit there and record it. And then people can then go back and listen to it at 1.5 speed, 1.75 speed. I mean, I think that's one in my mind where I think people can utilize that tech pretty quickly. And then the
Yeah.
personalization is just a whole nother world that I got to take a while to digest that.
Yeah. 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 That's a big thing that I'm working on. Well, the way that I kind of structured it is, top of the funnel, which is outreach, the middle of the funnel, which is getting them to take your lead magnet, and then third, the bottom of the funnel is, retention and follow up, right? So that's the three
Yeah.
areas that within sales and marketing that AI does really well. If you look at another vertical, the same technology can be applied to all different verticals, but it just does different things in different verticals. Like in HR, does a really good job of telling your employees where everything is. Does a good job of teaching them, because you can just use tools, AI avatars, to create like all your training videos based on all your FAQs within an hour. That's something that used to take. You had to hire talent, you had to hire a crew to
So much money and
shoot
time.
all of this video. Yeah, yeah. Now you do it pennies on the dollar, right? And
Brilliant.
in
Well,
and in much less time. Yeah.
yeah, well, we come back to the end of the episode. Anything you want to leave the guests with? We'll include all your links in the show notes so people can go follow you. I highly recommend it. The content is absolutely brilliant. Whether you're trying to pass the PMP or working on automations, folks, this is like amazing content you're giving away for free. But anything you want to leave the crowd with?
I would say don't be afraid of AI, and use it think of it as a tool, not something that will take away your job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just going to build on people's careers, in my opinion. I mean, like, if you look at someone who doesn't have the capability and someone who does, it's always going to be the person who does. And that's basically,
Yeah,
how the world works.
yeah. I was just gonna say, think of it as something that
Go
can
ahead.
advance career.
Absolutely. Good. Oh, good. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Folks, if you could like or subscribe, the more people that join our little movement, the better we can do and the more we can bring you. So for us at Beyond Deadlines, have a great week.